Welcome to a brand new season of Silver Screen, your one and only stop for the world of movies. On tonight's show, we'll be taking a trip down Oscar Lane as the Academy gears up for its 89th annual celebration of the best in film.
Each week, as we head towards Hollywood's big night, which is just a few weeks away, we'll be taking a look behind the scenes of all the Best Picture nominees.
On that note, let's talk about the actual ceremony itself. There's a new sheriff in town, Jimmy Kimmel. The Silver Screen team chatted to the first-time Oscar host, who's once again hosting a large-scale awards show.
Hosting the Oscars can be a no-win type of proposition because either you do well and people go, okay, yeah, sure, or you do badly and people tear you apart for the rest of your life. So why am I doing this? I don't know that question. It's a very good question. I ask myself that question as I go to sleep every night. I don't think of this as my first time hosting the Oscars. I think of this as my last time hosting the Oscars. And of course I want to do well. It's a little bit of a difficult situation because the audience at home wants to see you tear everyone to pieces, and the people in the room this is the greatest night of their lives, and all I can do is ruin it. So it's a tight wire act. I think I've watched every Oscar telecast since I've been, 7 years old. One thing that I remember that I thought was just great, I never heard of the guy before, and I think that's one of the things that's great about the Oscars. Roberto Benigni, you remember when he walked across the seats? It was almost punk rock. It was something it was some combination of Fred Astaire and crowd surfing, and I thought that was just amazing, and I've always been interested in him since then. I remember seeing the first Superman movie starring Christopher Reeve and the credits flying at you and the excitement that went along with that. I remember seeing Star Wars in the theater, and it's just like, it's like you're on another planet. It was so unbelievable. I remember my Uncle Frank took me and my cousin Ann to see Star Wars, and at the end of the movie, we were like, oh my God, this was unbelievable. We looked over at Uncle Frank, and he was sound asleep. So movies affect people in different ways.
Now the Oscars is a massive show, watched by 1 billion viewers worldwide. What's the mindset of the people behind a TV production like this? We chatted to the show's executive producers, Jennifer Todd and Mike DeLuca, about the mammoth undertaking.
I feel like the Academy Awards are sacred ground, and I really revere it, and I know Jen feels the same way, and we're just really conscious of the responsibility to, it's a very high bar, and we want to measure up to all the Oscar shows that have influenced us and really just give people a night where they can just enjoy why they love the movies.
What's unique for Mike and I is obviously because we are both film producers, that's our day job. We know how hard all these people work to get here. We know how many movies they worked on and how hard they've honed their craft, and so we know what a big night it is for everyone, and we just want to make it the most special night for them that we can, and sort of give them the opportunity to have one of the best nights of their lives.
The nominated films always shape the telecast, to the extent that, people have seen the movies, some more than others, but, they bring expectations to their favorite picks from what they've seen, their favorite performers, and I think there's always that element of surprise that shapes the telecast. But then, there's also, I think every telecast, we're fans of, has drawn a link to the memorable moments in movies of the past and kind of connects the dots, between generations, that reminds people that the movies have always been with us and have always been there for you to escape from reality and sit in the communal space and share moments with 300 strangers that just make you feel less alone on the planet, and I think the really great telecast reminds you of the movie's ability to do that, and that's what we're trying to tap into as well.
For us, I think it's nostalgic and it's respectful and it's very funny, and it should give you sort of goosebumps about movies and make you want to work in the movies, enjoy the movies, watch the movies. I think for Mike and I talk a lot. We're old friends. We've watched a lot of Oscar telecasts together. We dreamt of producing the Oscars for an embarrassingly long time, and I think for us, we want to try to give people the feeling we had as young people watching the show, and really, our theme is sort of to inspire and celebrate the movies.
So Nobs, what's your favorite thing about the Oscars? Now I know you're not the world's biggest Oscar fan yet. I'm going to convert you, but what have you seen? What do you know about the Oscars? Tell me what you know.
Well, I definitely know the red carpet and the gowns. And what happens after that? Well, you'll have to educate me.
What's your favorite red carpet moment from the Oscars?
Oh my word. There was a time where Julia Roberts walked in that black and white gown.
Yeah.
That, for me, I think it was about 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I was very young, but I'll never forget that.
My favorite moment still has to be, and we're going back a while now, I'm giving away my age. We're talking 1991, I think it was 1992, when Silence of the Lambs won the Big Five. It won Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Actor, Best Screenplay, and so on and so forth. Won the Big Five. Now, being a horror junkie, that was my night to shine, because it was finally a case of genre cinema being recognized for the first time. So I was in my element. That's got to be my favorite moment.
I could never watch Silence of the Lamb. I watched it halfway and no.
To this
sorry.
day, you've never seen Silence of the Lambs.
No,
Why not?
I know it's one of the best movies out there, but no, I couldn't. I was very young.
Joining us in studio now is Nitesh Mate, General Manager at New Metro Cinemas. So Nitesh, how's traffic been since you guys have taken over?
It's been great. New Metro has certainly had new life breathed into it. We've expanded the chain, but we've also brought in operational efficiencies that have now taken the business to the levels that we saw in it when we bought it.
What do you see as the future of cinema? Because I mean, cinema from a technological perspective, it's something that's changing all the time. Where do you see it going?
In terms of where cinema is going, technology is certainly one of those areas. We're looking into all aspects of virtual reality, augmented reality, and immersive experiences. In terms of the 4DX as an immersive technology is where the seats move, it sprays smells at you, it sprays water at you, it has fans in the cinema, it has lighting, that all augments the whole movie-going experience. And in the past, where you had that as amusement park rides, they're now building that into end-to-end blockbuster movies. So tonight we're launching at Menlyn Park with Resident Evil.
Now, what would you say to someone like me who may be perceived as a cinema snob and a cinema purist, and who would say that 4DX may be perceived as being gimmicky? What would you say to me?
I would say that you're probably not wrong, but it depends on the content.
At CNBC, we're all about numbers. What are your numbers at New Metro looking like since you guys have taken over the business? How's it going?
The attendances have bucked the international trend, so that's a good sign for us. While countries in Europe like Germany and France are reporting double-digit declines in attendances, we are almost static. There are declines. The decline is international, except for one or two incredibly strong emerging markets like China, which we can get to in a second. But overall, the drop-off in attendance is much lower than the rest of the world. And the average revenue per customer has grown because of the new experiences that we're able to offer. For example, Hyde Park Cinema, which is a all VIP cinema. Every single one of the 600 seats in there, save the 4DX, which is also in there, is a VIP leather recliner.
And I'm a fan of Hyde Park. I watch movies there all the time.
Yeah, it's a great cinema. We've got one like that in Pretoria now. We have one in the East Rand at Bedford View, and we're in the process of looking at new sites to do that. With
a cinema like Hyde Park, when New Metro is essentially one of the anchor tenants there, do you guys get a preferential rate from from Hyde Park Corner, or do you pay sort of bog standard rates? How does that work? Because I'm just thinking from an occupancy point of view. Obviously, during the week, cinemas run at a much lower occupancy than other businesses. So do you get a preferential rate?
We do, and that's the challenge for expansion in South Africa.
Yeah.
Cinemas are a low yield customer when it comes to development for the property developers.
Yeah.
The physical space that they have to hand over to us in a new development costs more than, say, putting up a clothing retailer. When they build a mall and they put in a clothing retailer, they put in a box and you come in and fit it.
Sure.
We require mezzanine levels for projection. We require services for the confectionery counters. We require stepped cinemas, stadium-style seating. So all of that costs the property developer more. However, the benefit far outweighs that cost in the night trade, in the support to restaurants, in the support to kids' entertainment and being part of the general or the greater entertainment offering in that cinema.
In terms of local cinema, what would you say New Metro as an exhibitor is doing to encourage and maybe promote local cinema at the moment? And do you think more could be done?
There is absolutely more than that could be done. That is a big focus for ours going forward. Now that we've cleaned up what we have and we've set up ourselves on one end of the scale with the Hyde Parks and the Park Views of the world, we're now looking at the mass market. We have signed agreements to go into what we're calling pure and proper rural areas. So we're opening a cinema in Guyana. That agreement has been signed. We are looking at a cinema in Mamelodi. We're looking at a cinema in just outside of Soweto. And that is definitely part of our strategy. The idea is to build it close to where people are. You know, content is always king when it comes to a movie, but location is what drives people's behavior.
And what about, I know SABC had that whole debacle recently where Cloudy turned around and said 90% local content across the board. What would happen if hypothetically someone were to come in and say, from an exhibition point of view, it's now 50% local, 50% international? Would that throw your business out, or is there a way of potentially developing local cinema, as it were?
The only way local cinema is going to get developed is if there's more investment into it. So while we're not screaming and breaking down the walls to get a quota system implemented in South Africa, there has to be more investment. And if that investment has to come out of ticket sales or from a development fund that the cinemas and the distributors are involved in, we welcome those kind of initiatives. Those initiatives work in other parts of the world. France has that. And Nollywood
has just instituted a system whereby it's 60% local content and it's thriving.
China has that in a massive way. China's on top of their censorship. They have quotas on blockbusters, and Korea has it, and they have a very strong local movie business or production business. So we've seen fantastic movies come out of South Africa. We want to do whatever we can and will do whatever we can to support the industry locally. In fact, we've been in discussions all week this week. It's kind of the theme for us this year is to how to develop into those markets and also those products.
Well, as promised, now it's time to take a look at some of the Best Picture Oscar hopefuls. First up is Arrival, starring Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner. This science fiction opus is masterfully directed by Denis Villeneuve.
This is the day they arrived.
Contact. The objects measure at least...
I'm Colonel G.T. Weber from Army Intelligence. Pack your bags. You're at the top of everyone's list when it comes to translations. Priority 1. What do they want? Where are they from? You'll be reporting to me, but you'll be working with him when you're in the show.
And she's called upon by the United States government to help decipher an alien language, as there have been 12 ships that have arrived on the planet, and she ends up being part of a team that goes in to try to figure out what they're telling us and why they're here. And, you know, of course, it puts the world on edge. We're not sure why they're there, but they seem to be desperately trying to communicate something to us.
That's what they call it, a UFO.
I was being carted off in the medevac.
Not everyone is wired for what you're about to do.
So what do they look like?
You'll see soon enough.
Every 18 hours, a door opens up. And how things can be miscommunicated, especially just in the English language, let alone just language in general. And you can see why things are miscommunicated all the time. And you really don't want to mess up with an alien force that looks like they could pretty much wipe us out if they wanted to.
What happens now?
They arrive.
They need to see me.
Dr. Banks? Are you insane?
Now that's a proper introduction.
He's putting together a team to be able to spark through the communication. One linguist to be able to break through the language barrier, and a physicist, mathematician, to be able to see if we can communicate through numbers and through whatever things that they may offer us, so that I have the proper tools to understand them.
We need to make sure that they understand the difference between a weapon and a tool. Language is messy, and sometimes one can be both.
We wanted to create a sci-fi movie that, like, when you're a kid in a school bus on a rainy day going to school and you dream looking at the clouds, you know, and it's rainy, and that kind of atmosphere. And going away from the scope of the huge movies, you know, going away from the flares, from the spec. We were trying to make something very, very, very about something delicate in the light. And Bradford, basically, he brought a lot of humanity and beauty to the movie.
This is just a way to force us to work together for once.
It's more complicated than that.
How is it more complicated?
Russia just executed one of their own to keep their secret.
Got 21 hours
Before they start global war.
So how do we clarify their intentions?
I go back in.
Why does this feel worse?
What do you think of its odds in winning Best Picture?
It doesn't stand a chance. The problem with science fiction is that it's very innovative, it's very modern, it's very new. You just watched it yourself. And the problem with science fiction is that because it's genre focused, the genre, like horror, has never been recognized by the Academy. So it'll be something that's considered more throwaway. I think it deserves more attention, but that isn't going to happen anytime soon. What did you think of it?
I thought it was quite an intellectual movie. Yes, it's science fiction, but the analysis and I enjoyed it.
So if I had to say to you...
It's a bit dark, but I enjoyed it.
So if I had to say to you, what would you give it out of 10?
Out of 10, I'll give it a 7.
7, okay.
Yeah.
Or
6.5.
Okay, no, there's no cheating. There's no half points. It's a full point. Come on, you've got 10.
Okay, I'll give it a 7.
A 7, okay.
Yes.
A solid 7 from Nobs. I'm going to give it an excellent 8 out of 10.
Right, let's move on to La La Land. It's the movie title on everyone's lips. It's something that's been described as magical and recapturing the Hollywood of old. Well, we all know how Hollywood liked to pat itself on the back, so I called this one the odds on favorite to win.
Starring Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, La La Land is currently on circuit across Africa.
Every cast member was infected by this idea that you could reimagine these great old movies.
And someday as I sing the song, a small town kid will come along. That'll be the thing to push him on and go.
What is that? There's a script?
You better give us all roles!
When we were casting up the movie, part of the appeal to me was that you know Ryan and Emma, they're going to be a couple. You can see them and imagine them together. It was like Fred and Ginger or Bogart and Bacall, a classic Hollywood screen couple.
You have two actors who have an on-screen chemistry that I think is one for the ages.
The idea of this really modern story of two struggling artists and dreamers became something really exciting very quickly.
It was a secret wish of mine to make a film in the style of musicals from the 30s and 40s.
In my musical theater days, we talked about people who were a true triple threat. Emma and Ryan have that rare combination of great singer, great dancer, great actor.
Thanks for having me back.
You're welcome. I play the manager of this interesting supper club.
We both got a little bit of a kick out of casting him as a jazz-hating, bitter owner who keeps trying to dissuade his pianist from playing anything other than Jingle Bells.
You're fired. It's Christmas. Yeah, I see the decorations. Good luck in the new year.
I play Ryan Gosling's older sister. I have someone I want you to meet.
I don't want to meet anyone.
There's a lot of love, there's a lot of friction.
Why do you say romantic like it's a dirty word?
Unpaid bills are not romantic. Call her.
What was your Bogart's name? Is it Greg?
Yeah.
Greg is smart, funny, he has money, so you could like take her out to nice dinners, but doesn't have the toolkit to be able to be there for her.
Keith is looking for a keyboard player in his new band, and he sees his old friend, Sebastian.
We really wanted to cast somebody out of the music world for that Keith role, and John came along.
Ryan and John joked that it was all part of my master plan to cast John Legend, but deprive him of his normal instrument and give that one to Ryan.
I had to learn playing guitar for the film and just trying to make sure I felt confident and comfortable. And mine wasn't as high pressure because, you know, the film wasn't about me being a guitarist, but it's about Sebastian as a pianist.
Ryan was very game to take on what was an insane challenge. We were not going to chop up, we were going to film in long takes, proving that it was in fact him playing piano.
Piano is always something I wished I'd had the time to learn. What other job is it a part of your job to just sit in front of a piano for 3 months and play? It was really one of the most fulfilling pre-production periods I've ever had.
The training of Ryan and Emma was a whole nother beast, you know, because it's not only are you choreographing a film, you're going to train the main actors how to dance.
We did lots of preparation with Mandy Moore, learning to tap dance and learning jazz and ballroom. We had dance rehearsal every day for about 2 or 3 months before we started shooting.
When we got a good take, everyone knew it worked and it just felt really magical.
They seemed excited about the amount of work it would take to do this movie. That was astonishing and exciting to me.
It's been really fun doing this, and it's been a great first experience as an actor.
Just getting to play music every day and dance every day was a real once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Living in a musical world where when you're filled with joy, you can spin down the street or burst into song. I loved that.
So what did you think of this one, Nobs?
I absolutely loved it.
No!
I
You're kidding me! You loved it! What
Yes.
on earth did you love about people breaking into song every 5 minutes on a highway? It's the most ridiculous thing I have ever seen in my life, and one of the most overrated pieces of trash I have seen in a long time. It was utterly...
How could you say that?
No, it is just...
was a beautiful romantic
No, you know my
love story.
No, my problem with it...
There wasn't too much musical. Yes, in the beginning where they're on the bridge and that kind of makes you think, oh,
you know what? It was
am I
so.
doing here?
The film for me was so twee and so naff that it made Sound of Music feel like Schindler's List. That's how weak it was.
Oh,
it was just
no.
there was nothing to it. It was just singing and dancing, breaking into song. Granted, it wasn't as much music.
It was the storyline.
Okay.
It was a beautiful, beautiful love story.
So what you're saying to me, and I hate to use a cliche here, is that it was a chick flick.
Yeah, I'd say so.
All right. So what would you rate La La Land out of 10?
8.5. Oh yeah, you said no halves.
I said no halves. You have to give me round numbers. What's this half nonsense?
Okay. Because of the singing, I did not like that. So we will say 8.
8. An excellent 8. Okay.
Excellent 8.
I give it a terrible 2. I can't.
Robert.
Ryan Gosling cannot sing. He's a pretty boy. All he's paid to do is sit there and look pretty. He cannot sing. Emma Stone's got a reasonable voice. She carries most of the film. Ryan Gosling literally is hamming it up.
The story behind it.
No, I don't see it.
It's a beautiful love story.
We'll agree to disagree on that.
Yes, let's
Tweet
agree to
us.
disagree.
Let us know what you think. Tweet us using the hashtag SilverScreen at CNBC Africa. If you disagree with me, if you disagree with Nobs, tweet us. Let us know what you think. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for tonight's episode. Be sure to tune in next week where we break down a few more Oscar hopefuls. From me, Robert, and
Nobile.
It's good night, and we'll see you at the movies.